Hello, and welcome back. My name is John Occhi. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams and the Excellence in Real Estate team. This is the fifth part of my multi-part report. I think it's going to be a six-part report, but on leveraging and how to leverage the purchase of your next home, whether it's your next home or your first home, or even commercial or investment property, because leveraging is controlling property without using your money or using the least amount of your money as possible. Leveraging is indeed about controlling real estate. So we're talking about different ways, different techniques to gain the upper hand in leveraging, and when you present your offer, different things that you need to know, and just techniques, tips. One of the things that is entirely critical, if you can find out, and sometimes, there's rude real estate agents or there's rude sellers that just are going to tell you it's none of your business, and they're going to be rude, and they're going to, shut you down and say either you buy it the way it is or that's it, but they don't want to tell you what? Why is the seller selling? Okay, that's a big question, and it has a lot to do with motivation. And if you can figure out what the motivation is, then a lot of times you can structure an offer to purchase the property that's going to meet the specific needs of the seller's motivation. Maybe the seller's relocating out of state, maybe the seller, they have a new job, maybe they're relocating to be with family, maybe there's an illness, maybe they have short-term goals, long-term goals. These are all important issues. Again, sometimes they'll tell you and sometimes they won't, all right? Sometimes they just lie to you. They come up with a really good story, and it's legal. There's no law against that. Okay, but always ask the seller why. Now, I also want you to know, when you're talking to the seller or the seller's agents, you want to find out about all of the existing mortgages and any liens against the property. Now, typically the seller should have all of that information. They should know the mortgages, they should know the balance, they should know the monthly payments, they should know the interest rates, the lenders, and anything and everything about that, okay? Now, you as the buyer want to look and see if anything there is attractive to take over, okay? You might want to consider assuming or buying it subject to the assumption of that particular loan. And in many cases, the lender, they may tell you no at first, but if you structure the deal properly, you come back and negotiate with them a little bit, you're going to find that you are able to take these loans over. Sometimes there's going to be an assumption clause that can often be negotiated. But, that's one way of doing it. Now, another way is, and again, I mentioned this earlier, you may want to ask, if you ask permission, I'd rather ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. And that way you can get a lot of things done. So if you buy the property and it's subject to, and you take over, and even if the seller comes up with a due on demand clause and they say, what are they going to do? You're making the payments, and as long as they're getting their payments, they're happy. And if you take that money, you utilize that for the short term, you have the resources available to fix the place up, and then you can take out a loan on a higher appraised value because of the improvements that you made to the property. Now you can take out cash-free money, and that you can use for other investments and to leverage other property. So that method allows for a highly leveraged acquisition and control of property with really minimal upfront costs. Another variation is to ask the seller to carry a large second-back mortgage if they have a lot of equity or it's entirely equity. They may refinance the seller with a short-term note. Maybe it's due in 12 months with a balloon payment. I mentioned earlier that you might be able to entice them. When you do an offer like this, you want to put down exactly what the payment would be. You want to offer a fair interest rate, maybe 8%, maybe 10%, but 8% is better than they're going to get anyplace else. So you offer a good interest rate, and then give them several months in advance, 6 months in advance. Maybe give them 12 checks, all post-dated on the first of each month. So all they have to do is remember to go to the bank. And it's that simple, and that will swing a lot of sellers that would not have considered carrying paper otherwise. And again, if you do it for 12 months, just make sure that you are able to refinance at the end of that time, because you will have a balloon payment due, and you're going to have to go ahead and pay that seller off, because they are looking for that equity to come back to them. Now, the other thing that you want to consider is foreclosures and distress sale properties. So even in the best of times, we have these type of problems for whatever reasons. There's job losses, there's deaths, there's disease that takes place, and unemployment, economic problems. It happens to people, and it happens. What can I say? So there's always going to be that type of foreclosure. Now, what we're expecting here, this is still spring of 2006 as I'm recording this, and we expect probably this year and the next year, certainly, there's going to be an awful lot of loans that come due. They're going to be, there's a lot of balloon payments or variable interest rates that are going to be coming due, and they're going to be seeing the higher interest rates, and their payments are going to kick in and start to go through the roof. And it's going to be one of the issues that's going to cause even more of a glutton of homes on the market. And with these new homes coming on the market, there's going to be a lot of distressed sales. There's going to be a lot of pre-foreclosures, which we call short sales, where we negotiate directly with the lender for the sale price, okay? So consider that. But when you're talking with someone who's in pre-foreclosure, I'll tell you a couple things to avoid, okay? You never want to say, well, what do you want to buy, sell your house for, okay? How much are the homes selling in this neighborhood for? That you're not going to do you well. You want to instead ask a question more like, well, how much do you want for the equity in this property? So if they could walk away with $25,000 cash, they're happy. Well, that's probably a lot less than if you said, how much do you want to sell this house for? Well, I want to sell it for $500. Well, they may have $75,000 in equity. So now they're negotiating from a point of $75,000. Ask them what they, giving up $75,000. Ask them what they need to walk away with, and you'll oftentimes be able to come up with a much better deal. Now, I also mentioned in one of the earlier segments about tired listings. A tired listing is a property on the MLS that's been there for 60 days or longer, and typically is sitting vacant. It doesn't have to be vacant, but typically it's sitting vacant. And sellers are tired of being ready for open house. They're tired of people coming through and inspecting. They're tired of having the kids clean up every single day to make sure that the house is ready to show, and it never shows. And the day that it does show, there's dirty laundry every place, okay? They're tired of this, all right? They're tired of the competition. They're tired of seeing new houses come on the market and sit. They're tired of new houses coming on the market and selling, and theirs isn't getting any activity. So they're just tired, and people are motivated to sell. The chances are in that situation they probably have a lot of equity, and if they take a $20,000, $30,000 hit, $50,000 hit, they're still making a lot of money. Okay, if they've owned their property 5-6 years, they're making a lot of money. They may not make as much as they wanted, and they may say, well, we should have sold last year when the market was peaking. But who knows? Who has that crystal ball? I don't. I got some good insights. I can see trends. I see the same things that I'm studying, you should be studying, but I'm involved in it every day. I've got my finger on the pulse. I've got, I know what I see. So there's some really great deals there. Okay. Again, when the tired listings, it's a great way to entice the seller with a carryback. Let them carry back. Again, start with a short 12-month. Start with giving them some upfront payments. Start with, maybe giving them the 12 months with post-dated checks, so that, it's regular cash flow for them. They don't have to worry about tracking you down. So that's real important, okay? Then another issue, and I'll wrap this report up with this, but another issue is to study the houses for rent in the newspaper. You want to see what the market is. First of all, there's two things that you're going to learn from that. You're going to learn what fair market rent brings. If you have a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot house, and there's 3 of them for rent in the same zip code, then you have a pretty good idea what that property is going to rent for. All right, that's one thing. But the other is check out the properties, see if they're willing to, especially if you find one that you want to live in, but even if not, see if they'll lease it to you with a lease option. And what do I mean by lease option is, let's say they're running it, again, round numbers, let's say they're running it to you for $1,000 a month, but on a lease option, they'll take $1,500. So that's $500 a month difference that's being applied towards the purchase price of the property, being applied towards a down payment at a predetermined sale price. So if I'm paying $1,000 a month, but I'll do a lease option at $1,500 for a purchase price of a purchase price of $100,000 with a lease option of $1,500 a month, with $500 being applied towards the purchase price. So at the end of the year, that's $6,000 that I've accumulated, that the landlord, the seller, now has in their possession, that's applied towards that house, so I only owe $94,000. Well, in the meantime, if the house is appreciated in value, let's say it's got up $10,000, now I'm getting a $110,000 house that I'm only paying $94, and I only owe $94 right now. And so it's going to be a lot easier to get that loan than it would have been a year earlier, where I was trying to figure out on an appraised value of $100,000 as opposed to an appraised value of $110,000. So now I've got $16,000 in equity, but it's only cost me $6,000. Pretty slick, pretty slick. And you can really get creative, and you can get into this type of an agreement where you don't even have to be the person moving in. You take control of the property, you take control of the lease option, you find your own renters to move in, and either you put them on the same lease option, or you just you rent it to them for a year, you pay the extra $500, let's say, and now you've got all that built-in equity going for you right there. So there's a lot of creative ways of dealing with that. All right, until next time, this is John Occhi with Keller Williams and the Excellence in Real Estate team, and I want you to come back for my last part, where we're going to talk about using any type of collateral, any different, there's all types of different ways of raising cash. And that's what we're going to talk about in the last part, which I believe is part 6. And we're going to talk about raising cash and different ways of doing that in order to get in with little or no money in order to leverage your property. Until next time, this is John Occhi with Keller Williams and the Excellence in Real Estate team, wishing you and yours all the best. Make every day a great day, because every day is just so precious. Make them count, okay? Thanks again, and God bless to you and yours.